Hi, I'm Jeffrey Johnson, and this is my testimony. I've waited a while to tell it, and right now it just seems like the perfect time. I guess it all started in 2011. It was June 5th, 2011, and was probably the worst day of my life, but the best day of my life. I was in a 5-year full-blown opiate drug addiction, and I had pushed everybody away that I loved. I had no friends, like real friends, and nobody trusted me, nobody in my family, and it wasn't great. And so on June 5th, 2011, I decided to end my life. And so I was in a really bad binge that night, and what happened was that my fiance at the time was going to leave. She had enough, and she was going to take our 2-year-old daughter. And so that was my rock bottom night. And so I ran up the stairs, already high on drugs, and I put a rifle in my mouth, and I pulled the trigger, and it clicked. It didn't go off. It was loaded. Everything was good, and God just stopped it. But I was still mad, and I kept hearing "not yet," like whispering in my head as I was reloading it and ready to do it again. The same thing happened, but this time it didn't even go off. And once I kept hearing like a whisper, like I thought I was just the drugs, or I was going crazy. And so then I had the nerve to do it one more time, and this time once again it just clicked. And later we checked it, and it was fine. It reloaded. It shot. It was a hunting rifle that we had used many times. And it was a miracle that it was stopped 3 times. And so I was still mad. I was mad to be alive. I wanted out. I ran down the stairs, down a whole bottle of prescription pills. And then things started getting blurry, and apparently I had also decided to go ahead and cut my wrist, and it was many attempts that night to take my life. So fast forward a little bit that night, my parents heard about it, and they came and got me. And what they said was like, it was like a horror scene when they walked in, just me, just there, and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And so, and God wasn't a part of my life at all. He was there, but I just ignored him. So they took me to the hospital, and through that night they thought I wasn't going to make it, and my heart beat was really slow throughout the night. But thankfully they were able to get me stable. So then they transported me over to a psychiatric hospital, and because apparently if you do something like that, you have some issues. So I was there for 2.5 months at Vanderbilt, and they had diagnosed me with schizophrenia, and I did not know that. And so they had put me on medications and things like that. After that, I met a guy his name was Charles, and I feel like to this day it was a divine, intervention, because our stories were the exact same. Charles, he put a gun in his mouth and he pulled the trigger, but yet his went off and disfigured his face. And I'm talking to Charles in the psychiatric hospital, and he was telling me what was going on, and he was telling me that he was sad and he was alone and he didn't have anyone. And even up to that point, I still didn't want to live. I didn't think that I was ever going to see my daughter again. I didn't think I had anything left. I pushed everyone away. I had nothing. And so, but at that moment it clicked. It clicked in my head that I was almost not a dad or a brother or a nephew or later even a husband. And so I ran into my room and then I fell to my knees and I prayed to God, and I asked for forgiveness, and He saved me. And that's where I found my salvation, in a psychiatric hospital. The experts told me I would never get off of medications. I would be on them the rest of my life. There's no cure for it. And I'm proud to say 2 years ago, God delivered me from it. He's above mental illness, and I am completely free from it. I'm free from drug addiction, insecurities, just so many things that I could go on and on what He has done. He's above it all. And so I know He can save anybody at anywhere at any moment. As crazy as all that sounds, I'm 8 years sober now, almost. In June it'll be 8 years, and He can do anything. I went from having a $200 a day addiction to writing Christian music, having an album that's out right now all over the world. Like, there's so many things that God is doing. I'm married now. I have my daughter in my life all the time, every day. I found a wonderful church. My life has been completely transformed, and nobody that even knows me would never know this if I didn't tell them. And that's what God does. I've wanted to tell this testimony for a long time, and it just wasn't right. And I'm just so thankful for this church and what Living Word has done for me and my family. And I can't wait to see what's next. And there's so much more hope now. That was just a fragment of sadness compared to the joy in my life now. So if anyone is struggling, or if anyone that hears this feels that they don't have any hope, or that they're a lost cause, that's a lie. Because God can take anyone at any time and use it for His glory. He did it for me. He can do it for you. He loves you. He's crazy about you. And I'm telling you, it's the best decision of your life to come to Him.